Hello, Red Wave. Welcome to Beware of Bulldogs podcast. I am your host, Caleb, and joining me, my co-host, and the best host I know in Fresno. His name is also Caleb, my friend Caleb Pletz, who beat me in bucket golf by one stroke. Oh man, Caleb, how you doing, man?
I'm doing really well. That was a very kind intro. I appreciate that. But yeah, doing well. We are in the dog days of summer. Just counting down college football. I know we still have, I guess, some College World Series games on. If maybe people are interested in that. I know the Oral Roberts story is kind of interesting, but I mean, other than that, not much going on in the college sports world, and ready for some football. So that's what we'll be talking about.
Yeah, today's show is full of football commit as of 20 minutes ago. Phil Steele ranked, some rankings came out. We're going to talk about that, some San Diego State news. And then an article came out, Caleb, about the top 50 most overrated coaches of all time. We're going to get to that at the end. First, Caleb, I want to know how bucket golf went. So bucket golf, we'd been talking about it, happened on Saturday at Givoli Winery. We had a great time. Neither of us won, unfortunately. It probably would have been bad if we would have won. But I want to know, how did bucket golf go for you? And I know you brought some family out. How'd it go for you guys?
Bucket golf was a lot of fun, man. It was a good time out there. It was early enough, so it wasn't too hot. And yeah, it was a good time. And, definitely a little bit more challenging than I thought it would be. Controlling a wiffle ball, with your wedge is pretty much like playing out of a bunker the whole time, because we were playing out on the field at the winery. So it was fun, good challenge. But yeah, we'll see how that impacts my golf game going forward.
Any hole-in-ones?
A lot of fun. I did not hit any hole-in-ones. I think my brother had a net hole-in-one, so it was two stroke, but the second stroke he made it in the bucket. So net hole-in-one. So
yeah, no one in my group made it into a bucket ever. Didn't on first shot or 100th shot. No one made it into the bucket. It was a poor showing, but I don't know if I should say this out loud, but a guy in my group won the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he needed the tickets, so he's going to use them. So that's great. But I think, Caleb, you shot par for the course and I shot one stroke over.
Yep.
We had a blast. Thank you guys so much for coming out. We had a great time. And I know some people that played told me today and yesterday what a great time they had, and they're not golfers and they loved it. So
good.
Thank you guys for coming out. And Fantasy Football Dudes came out, and I think I beat everyone except one on there. And so that means you did too, Caleb. I'm not sure. I don't remember their scores, but we beat Trent. I know that. We beat Trent.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. All right. So, if you guys weren't there, let me tell you what we have now. So we have our hats. We got athletic shorts out that run small, just so you know. So get the bigger size. We have flags now. Beware Bulldogs flags. I was going to put it up behind me, didn't. We have flags, koozies. Anything else? I think that was it.
I think that's it for now. I think we are going to
bags.
So I'm like clear, like stadium okay bags, which I think was a great idea. So good job, Jasmine. And I think we're gonna try to get a shirt out before football season too, just to kind of round out the merch inventory there.
You can follow us on Twitter, beware_Bulldogs. It's different, I know. Twitter, beware_Bulldogs, and Instagram, Beware Bulldogs Podcast. You can also watch us live Monday nights at 7 p.m. on YouTube, Beware of Bulldogs. Check us out. Hop in the chats on Twitter and YouTube and comment. I don't know, questions, comments, whatever you want, and we get to them. All right, Caleb, let's start it off with a commit that happened 19 minutes before we hit record, and that was Marcel Akins, an offensive tackle has committed to Fresno State from El Diamante in Visalia. So local kid staying home to play for the Bulldogs. A tackle. We've been talking about offensive line. We'd like to see some things happen there. Well, had a transfer come in. Now we see Marcel commit. What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, it's huge. Being still an area of need for this team, and obviously this is long term. Hopefully to build a solid group of young guys coming in that can be coached up the right way, and hopefully this is the next solid anchor on this offensive line that has been kind of shaky for the Dogs for the last couple seasons. So it's huge, and just keeping these local talents home. I think this is huge, and something that the Tedford coaching staff is doing a great job at. So yeah, overall huge. Love to see it, and hopefully this kind of sparks more local commitments. I know that there's been a lot of interest in a lot of players at Clovis West High School, like mostly receivers. Like they have apparently 4 really good receivers that are being or getting interest from a lot of schools on the West Coast. So hopefully this is kind of the kickstart that gets the local commits coming in, especially for these class of 2024 guys going into their senior season.
Yeah, we hear a lot about I would say skill position players from the Valley committing to Fresno State. We don't hear a lot about the guys in the trenches. This is really nice. A big tackle from the Valley sticking around. I'm going to have a lot of fun cheering him on. All right, some news out of the Mountain West. San Diego State submitted their letter to leave the Mountain West. I don't know if we've talked about this recently. It was about up in the air that they were going to leave, and we kind of knew that they were going to go if they had the chance. They submitted a letter to the Mountain West saying, "We're out of here. See ya," with no word to the public on if they had an invite from any other conference. Maybe they know something we don't. However, the Mountain West, or I should say San Diego State, asked for a 1-month extension. You're going to have to explain that to me, Caleb. And that 1-month extension was denied by the Mountain West.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, the purpose of that is they're trying to save money because,
Right.
they have a deadline June 30th to pay X amount as a buyout to leave the conference. So, San Diego State's trying to save a little bit of money and get an extension to do that. So I don't know who in their right mind would grant such a thing, especially when we're seeing how, not that Mountain West needs money, but I mean, that kind of money that would be coming in from San Diego State, would definitely help the conference. And so yeah, they're not just going to let that go. And so yeah, kind of interesting play by San Diego State. And then I did see that their president also kind of tried to walk back the comments and say, "Oh no, we didn't submit our letter of resignation. We're just said we may intend to." So a lot of interesting semantics going on there, and I think it's great that the Mountain West Conference is standing firm, because I mean the conference has no reason to let them out early. And if they do want to leave, sure, more power to them, but yeah, you're going to pay. And that's why they have these contracts, to make sure and protect the other schools, because if they didn't have this, I mean, every school could just threaten to leave every year, and I mean that would be really difficult, especially when trying to negotiate media rights. I mean, obviously going into those negotiations, each school brings a different value and to that, in terms of eyeballs in their market, and maybe the product that they put on the field or the court for respective sports. So yeah, it's definitely a good thing to have those contracts in place and commitments for the schools. So yeah, I mean, it's basically less than 2 weeks now that deadline's coming up. So it seems like they're going to have to do something here in the next 10 days if they want to not really dig into their war chest there to buy out of the conference. So we'll see. I mean, do you think that the Pac-12 deal is gonna come up anytime soon?
I don't know. I mean, if the Pac-12 stays together, I would be shocked if they grab anybody with how Stanford and Cal treat everybody else, all the other peasants out there, according to Stanford and Cal. So I'd be shocked to see them accept San Diego State if they don't want Fresno State, but they're gonna. I don't know. I know, but who does San Diego State think they are? Like, do they think they're better than all? They send a team to the national championship, lose, and think they're better than all of us. That's the vibe I get. No,
I mean, they definitely feel like they belong somewhere else, which they have been putting a lot of competitive teams out on there, in various sports. I mean, even the Olympic sports. I mean, football, they're pretty much middle of the pack. I mean, they would probably disagree with that, but I mean, San Diego State, I mean, they can't even put an elite offense together. And I mean, look what they're recruiting to. Like, how can you not recruit elite skill players to San Diego, California? I mean, it's beautiful there. So I've been saying this for a long time. If they could just get a good quarterback, they would. It would be amazing how much they could elevate as a football team, but they just can't figure it out, which is fine. I like beating down on San Diego State, but yeah, overall, I think they definitely feel like they've grown bigger than the Mountain West. But yeah, we'll see. I still am skeptical that a new media deal is going to happen for the Pac-12 in the next 10, 11 days. So, which I do think helps Fresno State, because obviously that's what our fans care about, right? It's like
right.
How does all this impact Fresno State?
Yeah. Well, okay. How do you think? Let me back up. Do you think that San Diego State could get invited to a different conference?
That's a good question. I mean, I haven't heard or read anything where San Diego State was seriously considered for the Big 12. I mean, Big 10, I'd say, is out of the question, because I think similarly they're kind of an elite, academic conference from what I've kind of read. So I know that San Diego State did become a tier 1 research institution. So I guess they could argue that they are, a top tier university academically. But I mean, it seems like Pac-12 is probably the most logical fit for them if they were, to get that sort of invite. But at the same time, I mean, I would love to be paired up with San Diego State joining the Big 12. I think that would be really good for Fresno State in terms of geography, still having some schools that are close for rivalry purposes and just for ease of travel for a couple games a year. So yeah, that would actually be really really intriguing if that were able to happen with kind of a joint invitation there.
That was my thought. If they don't get into the Pac-12, call us up, and let's try and pull some strings and get into the Big 12 together. So
right,
I mean, every time we talk about it, I mean, I feel like it comes up every day. Caleb, conference expansion. Last but not least, when we talk about expansion, if San Diego State is done with the Mountain West, does the Mountain West play this season without San Diego State? I'm assuming they would if they're putting a letter in. But do they? My main question is, do we go grab somebody else?
So my understanding is this is like kind of like a year's notice. Like this would be their final year competing in the Mountain West. Okay. So I think for football purposes, for schedule balance too, I think they would probably need to, go get another team just so that way there's an even number. I mean, I know that there's a way to make it work. Obviously they would have to mix up the schedule a little bit, and especially this is coming after, I think, is this the first year where the new Mountain West football scheduling comes into play, which is kind of funny that obviously they do these schedules so far in advance, and then stuff like this happens where teams leave and whatnot. But I think logically for the Mountain West would go and grab a replacement team. So I mean, who that would be, I mean, it would have to be some sort of FCS team. I mean, replacing a California team with California team would probably make sense. So maybe a Sac State. I don't know if Cal Poly's at that level yet, but maybe they could be. So those would probably be my top 2 contenders for replacement if we're trying to stay in California with the replacement.
You don't want another ag school in UC Davis?
That's true. Yeah, I guess that would, it could work, but one
They're not
last
there
thought
yet.
on the one last thought on the Pac-12 though. I mean, I was reading an article today that was basically kind of outlining all the potential bidders for owning the rights to the Pac-12, and it basically came down to Apple was basically the only one still in play like to bid for it, which does not seem like the best option for streaming sports. I mean, I'm sure they could put a good product together, but I mean, I don't think that would be as value or as profitable or as interesting as maybe the traditional partners like ESPN, Fox, or CBS. So yeah, I think that's probably trouble for Pac-12, and could create more chaos. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we got 10 or so days that something might happen, and then I think I predicted a couple weeks ago that I don't think anything's going to happen. So I think I'll stick with that.
I don't know how you can be so wanted by every network. I mean, they want the games after dark
Mm-hmm.
and not put a good deal together. It just blows my mind. The last thing on expansion, I lied. I got more on expansion. We've heard rumors that President Saul Jimenez, the Fresno State president, he's been having long conversations with the Big 12 commissioner. How is it? Yormark? Is that?
Yeah, or Brett Yormark.
Yormark.
Yeah.
Long conversations. That's the rumor. If that rumor is true, I don't know. But if it's long conversations, hopefully they're having a couple drinks and some papers get signed and we're off to the races. That's all we know here at Beware of Bulldogs. Well, we need to call some people, Caleb, work the people we know. Okay, Phil Steele. So if you don't know who Phil Steele is, he does a lot of things in the college football world, does preseason rankings and comes out with his catalog. You got to check him out. He's pretty cool. I mean, there's a bunch of college football. What's the official name of those things?
I mean, I guess I just always called it like his annual like preseason magazine, I guess is what I called it.
Yeah.
And he like has like a profile on every FBS team, and it's really cool, really in depth. I mean, I know I saw on Twitter a couple weeks ago that he posted that he had an hour-long conversation with Coach Tedford. So I mean, he's talking to the head coaches, and I think getting a pretty good feel for each program. So yeah, definitely a good resource.
So Phil ranked linebacker cores or linebacking cores and ranked Fresno State 26th overall in the nation. I mean, that's huge.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about our linebacker core being really good for the past couple years, Caleb. This year, we have studs coming back. Pretty much everybody with some transfers coming in. Now they may be playing edge rusher and things like that being moved around, but we have a very good linebacker core. What are your thoughts on Phil Steele ranking us number 26?
Yeah, I think it's really cool, and that this position group finally gets some recognition. And I mean, coming into the season, I mean, it might be one of the deeper position groups, especially on the defense. I mean, bring back, two workhorses from last season, Lavelle Bailey and Malachi Langley. I mean, those guys played every game. And I mean, last season we were not deep at linebacker. And I mean, every week, they were just making plays and able to, tough out the full season. So I think, yeah, it's definitely got to start with those two guys in the middle. And, they are, the two leaders, on that defense, you have to think. And then, Raymond Scott coming back, transfer from USC, second year in the program. So I know we didn't really get to see a ton from him last year. He got banged up. So yeah, look to him to, really try to grow into more of a, factor there on defense. And then the other transfer to Asivi, I think was his name. Yeah. The other USC guy. So
another
yeah,
USC.
right. So We'll see if I know right now on the depth chart. I actually looked before this. He is still listed as linebacker. So, but obviously depth chart, doesn't mean anything. We'll see if
And we say that because the rumor is he's been playing some edge in
right.
practice,
And so,
receiving.
who knows? Yeah, we'll see where he, kind of ends up there. I mean, um, and then young guys. I mean, Phoenix Jackson and Tim Thomas. I'm really excited about Tim Thomas. I mean, I like his frame,
Mhm.
his size, and he competed well in the spring game too. So those are two guys that I think are primed to really step up into bigger roles this season. Kind of take over from those senior guys who are going to be running out of time after the season. So yeah, overall, I mean, I really like where this position group is, and I mean going into this year too. I mean, it could be a totally different defensive scheme from Coach Coyle. I know last year they were still kind of running the 4-2-5 just because that was the personnel they inherited from the Coach DeBoer regime. So new personnel in, and we'll see what the scheme is too. I mean, we could be 3-4, 4-3, or I think their goal is to be multiple and kind of throw a lot of different looks out there. So I think they have the personnel to do that and be multiple. And so yeah, long-winded answer. What do you think?
I see us running multiple. The way that Coyle does things and what he's done in the past. I mean, he's an NFL dude. They're going to run as much as they can. I just hope that they do well enough teaching the boys and coaching them up so that they can understand everything. Because the last time we had a thick defensive playbook, we heard that it was bad.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as they can coach them up and the guys understand it and the terms and know what to do, then we'll be fine. And I trust our coaching staff. They're so smart and fun. I mean, you just go to an event and listen to our coaches talk. They're great. They're a lot of fun. They know what they're talking about. They know how to put on a show. So yeah, it's probably a show for all of us, but they do a great job. I really like them. Robert's here. What's up, Robert? Robert has entered his weekly question. What's good with conference realignment? And what about the Aztecs giving a notice without a landing place? That's some bold stupidity. Yeah, we touched on it, I think, right before you hopped in, Robert. Conference for realignment. We're talking. President Saul is talking with your Mark, yo Mark. I don't know his name. With him a lot. So hopefully we have some news for the Fresno State Red Wave soon, within the next couple days, and then and that was pretty much the extent of what we talked about, and then just making fun of the Aztecs. Back to position groups, Caleb, real quick. I had unless you had something on Twitter.
Yeah, it looks like Jay Watson is saying he likes the idea of moving to a CV Nomura. Thank you for the full name there. To edge, so he's liking that idea. He also said earlier, I think this is awesome too. We need to just start, like, I guess we are in week 1. So he said, beat Purdue, the crowd doesn't matter. But let's see. Be what we are, the better team. See y'all in West Lafayette. So that's good. We got some representation there going to Indiana this fall. So yeah, I mean, we are in week 1. I mean, we can start prepping for our opponent.
All right, we need to do a deep dive. We have a lot of time. We deep dive into Purdue and what's going on. I know they have a new quarterback. That's about all I know. Is there any other position group at Fresno State that you believe could contend at the national level? Like we're top 26. We're number 26 at linebackers. Do you think do you have an opinion on any other position group? Because we don't know a whole lot about, I mean, we know, Caleb, but we haven't seen them play a whole lot on Saturdays.
Right.
And, when like quarterback, wide receiver group, I mean, we have new tight ends, kind of.
Right.
Not a
Yeah.
whole
I
lot
mean,
of snaps.
actually, tight end was one that kind of jumped out. I mean, we know, what we're getting there. I mean, Trey Watson is, really promising, and we, got to talk to him a little bit. I mean, really impressive guy, and should be a leader on that offense. And we just really like his tools. I mean, his ability to be a pass catcher and blocking, and Jake Baus too. I mean, he was really solid last season. So I mean, those two guys are definitely should be, I'd say, probably top in the conference. I think
Mhm.
nationally is probably a really high accolade to live up to, but I mean, for sure in the conference, I mean, those two guys should be up there with any tight end in the Mountain
What
West.
about corners?
Man, I mean, same thing too. I mean, with Lockridge and Carlton Johnson. I mean, those two guys, they should be considered in, at least in the conference conversation, with two of the best. I mean, behind them, I don't know if there's the depth there to consider, the cornerback group to be, in the national rankings there. But I mean, as long as those two guys perform how they did towards the back end of last season, I mean, our opposing offenses are going to have trouble, because I mean, it was a no-fly zone for those guys. I mean, they were
Mhm.
locked down, and those two guys combined with Maurice Norris. I mean, I left him out too, but who we'll see where he ends up kind of lining up this season with the new scheme out there. So I mean, those guys really good, top end guys for the Mountain West Conference, and yeah, we'll see how the newcomers come in behind them to provide the depth that team's definitely going to need.
Yeah, it's funny. This Fresno State team, we've seen guys play. They haven't got a ton of reps, but they've played before. And I think we're flying under the radar a little bit with the lack of snaps that we have coming back. But we have a lot of talent. I like it. I like it. Flying underneath the radar. But Mountain West teams know, but I don't think these other teams and these analysts really know what's happening in Fresno. And but they're about to.
Oh
It's
yeah.
going to be a lot of fun. Last thing for me that I have on the outline, Caleb, a little quicker episode today. Stadium Talk, it's a website, came out with the top 50 most overrated coaches of all time. And I have some beef with this article because at number 24, they put Pat Hill out of the top 50 most overrated coaches of all time. And their reasoning was he only won one WAC championship. And with the amount of love that he gets from, well, I'd say college coaches, even NFL coaches, because we know he's best buds with Belichick, and then the love he gets from the fan base, they had him ranked 20. What did I say it was?
I think it was
I just
24th.
24th overall. I think it's an absolute joke. I understand you only won one WAC championship, but he brought a mentality to Fresno and the Fresno State football teams, and he had great football teams. They competed with everyone. I don't know how you can call someone overrated when they almost beat. I mean, should have beat USC because Reggie Bush stepped out of bounds. But I mean, I don't see how you could call him overrated.
Yeah, no way. I mean, he did more with less compared to so many other coaches. I mean, in terms of fundraising, just to fund the training table, just so that way the players could eat, and I mean, really developing guys. I mean, I think that was one of the just amazing things of Pat Hill's run, is just finding these diamonds in the rough and developing them into NFL talent. And I think I mean, he put Fresno State on the map too, which I think that
Right.
maybe people don't appreciate. But I mean, by taking on the money games and going to Wisconsin and going to Tennessee and going to these big name schools, I mean, one, it helped pay his bills. Like he needed to do that in order to keep his program running. But I mean, competing in this big game, I mean, putting the program on the map and saying, look, like if you come to Fresno State, like we're not backing down from the big boys. We're gonna play tough, physical, fanatical football. I think that was one of his taglines. So yeah, that's just a very ignorant take there. I think that if you talk to anyone in Fresno that has actually followed the program from maybe Sweeney till now, I think everyone is going to appreciate what Pat Hill did.
Oh, no doubt. Robert says he brought the culture of
Yeah,
Fresno State toughness.
absolutely.
I mean, he. I think some people would argue Sweeney, but there's another level definitely that Pat Hill brought. He brought the green V, and those things are important. This Robert speaking, things are important, especially to today's TV market and realignment. I don't think we get into the position we're in today without him, Robert says. I agree. Just like you say, Caleb, we got ourselves, he put us on the map.
Yeah.
All right. The number one most overrated coach in the past, or out of the 50 most overrated coach of all time, Lane Kiffin.
I have no disagreements there. He is a Fresno State graduate, which is also really funny. But yeah, I mean, with just getting fired from so many jobs and then just somehow getting better jobs, it's like it doesn't make sense. I mean, I think I think he's a really good recruiter, but I don't know, man. Just like, but it's also impressive, like how many big name programs like he's been a part of. I mean, USC, Tennessee, the Oakland Raiders, now at Ole Miss, and then pit stop at
Bama.
FAU, and Bama as an assistant. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of been pit stop lane. Like I don't think he's really ever going to be anywhere too long. But yeah, and I mean that is also makes it really difficult to like assess like his ability as a coach, because I mean most of the time he's coming in and using the players that are already there. Otherwise, I mean now he's like transfer portal king. I mean he's taking it transfers like crazy. So I mean it's kind of hard to like assess a coach like that, because is he actually developing talent or is he just acquiring talent and then still going 8-4 at the end of the year? So
all right, I'm gonna make my argument for Lane. All right, I got you, Lane. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I don't have an argument for Tennessee. I don't remember what happened at Tennessee, but Oakland Raiders, you can't do anything in Oakland. You can't do well in Oakland because of the Davis family. That's my take with the Raiders. As a follower of the Raiders for many years, they are terrible at picking players and evaluating talent. So I don't blame Lane for any of that. Then you go to USC, and he was at USC when they had when they got in trouble right after Carroll left. So he didn't have scholarships to give out. Kids didn't want to go to USC because they weren't going to get scholarships. So he had to deal with that whole thing. So, he may have done well for what he had. I don't know. I'm trying to argue for Lane here. Then you go to Bama, and you're the offensive coordinator for Saban. You learn from the best, and then you go to FAU. I actually thought he did a very good job at FAU, and then he gets the job at Ole Miss, and he's doing well at Ole Miss. They're not bad. I mean, they compete.
Yeah, they compete. I mean, just down the stretch, they faded last season. I mean, I think they started really hot. They were like 6-0, I think, and
that's right.
Yeah, I think they ended up 8-4. So yeah, they kind of.
Well, once he said, people will remember this. He said, "Grab your popcorn. It's going to be a show." When they played Bama, and then they got blown out like 56-0. Oh man, I mean, I'd love to play for that, but that was embarrassing. Yeah, Robert. Ouch, poor Lane. Oh man. So Lane Kiffin, former Bulldog backup quarterback at Fresno State, or maybe it was just a GA at Fresno State. Number one most overrated coach of all time. And Pat Hill coming in at 24. This is from Stadium Talk. Caleb and I did not put this together. Stadium Talk ranked Pat Hill number 24. But terrible. Come on. How about, can you put DeRuyter as an overrated coach? Because he did poor later on, but he won the Mountain West. Did he win it once or twice?
I mean, I think it was 2 years, in 12 and 13.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Can you call it overrated? I don't know.
No, I think the aftermath has proven that he was properly rated as a poor coach and developer of talent. So, but that being said, I mean, there were some pieces left over from that 2016 team that Tedford came in and turned it into, I mean, the greatest turnaround in college football history.
Right.
So maybe Tedford DeRuiter just couldn't execute, and he was, okay at identifying talent. So
Maybe we shouldn't give him the benefit of the doubt. And Robert says, worst coach ever.
there you go.
All right. I don't have anything else, Caleb. Do you have anything else? All right. Any news, upcoming news that we need to? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, at this point, we're just waiting for football season. We are getting ready. I mean, we are excited for football season. I mean, we'll be back, 3 episodes a week and locked and loaded for football. We'll be there, season tickets, and hopefully try to get some tailgates out there too, so that way we can do that again, because we did have a good time tailgating at the spring game. And so definitely a lot to look forward to, but it's probably going to be a lot of these shorter episodes over the summer just because there's less for us to talk about.
Mm-hmm. We'll find something. And if you guys have any ideas, DM us with whatever you guys see, or you can also email us at bewarebullogspodcast@gmail.com. And we'll be happy to talk about it and throw it in the show. Thank you for joining us. Reminder, you can find us Mondays live on YouTube and hang out with myself, Caleb, and Robert on Mondays at 7 p.m. YouTube, Beware Bulldogs. Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy. God bless. And as always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.